Ever since the dawn of humankind, we've sought the origins of our life and its purpose. Some have chosen to look to science, religion, or philosophy for answers. Many have turned to the great masters such as Lao Tzu, the Buddha, and Jesus Christ for spiritual illumination. Still others have sought truth through their own direct experience. All of us are searching, knowingly or unknowingly, for enlightenment, truth, and harmony in our lives. This program, hosted by Dr. Gregory Penn, will help you aspire to a more fulfilling and rewarding life.
Every day you take us there, we understand. The closer that we get, we'll find in who we are. We choose between the left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness or the light. We'll find in who we are.
There is one basic quality that we're going to be looking at in this program, Aspire, that will accelerate our spiritual growth greatly. Welcome to our program. We're going to be working on forgiveness today. Forgiveness is very essential for all of us. Forgiveness of ourselves, forgiveness of others. In fact, when we begin to practice forgiveness as a pathway, we begin to find that happiness, fulfillment, understanding seems to come our way much quicker. We begin to grasp and become clear in the meaning of life. So won't you stay tuned as we explore forgiveness and its great necessity in our living. The essentials. What are the most essential things that a person needs to live their life? Interesting thing to me about individuals, people like us. There are two types of people. The person who wants to live his life to a way that is very fulfilling and very rewarding, and the person who just wants to get through life. You know what I mean? They just want to get through it. At a certain stage, we really want to live our life. And it's a fun, happy experience, and there's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of enthusiasm to live our life. But I think there are these turning points in our life that create tremendous blocks. Let me explain to you what I mean. A turning point or a block would be where we had a difficulty somewhere in our life that was never resolved. Never resolved. And then you have another one, because once one isn't resolved, another one is always created, always. And then another one, and then another one. And after you get to a certain stage in life, and sometimes it's in the mid-30s, early 40s, now life is just to get through. It's been so painful and so difficult, it's just to get through it. It's a very difficult thing that we do to ourselves when we live our life like that, because we forget the essentials of life. And if you ask people, what are the essentials for life? Somebody might say, well, it is being happy, it's having a family, it's having things and objects in my life that please me, and it's always this outer stuff. I listen to metaphysical teachers and ministers talk all the time, and they would have you believe that somehow you will be a better, happier person if you had more money in your life, more objects in your living, and more people who liked you. They'd have you believe that. And yet, I have known many individuals in my life who I've lived with and worked with and counseled with, who had lots of money, lots of friends, lots of family, all the treasures a person could want, and were just miserably unhappy. Very interesting dilemma. There are some essentials in life that I think are very important to us, and we lose them somehow in our living. I'd like to share with you some essentials to lift the blocks out. And if you're at a point in your life where you're really not sure why you are living, what's going on in your life, if it's really meaningful, if it's really something that's interesting to you or productive, then maybe this will help. Life isn't going to get any better for you until you awaken, until you get better. And I just want to preface this before I say it. It takes a lot of energy to remove the blocks. And if you don't care, then there's nothing that can be done for you. No matter how much you own or how much you have, nothing will change. It's up to you, okay? I'm not here to be your cheerleader, to rah-rah you into this, and to scream and yell and tell you you should do it. You'll do it if you want it, and if you're ready, and if life is still something that is worth it to you, okay? The first block is unforgiveness. We hold a tremendous amount of animosity towards ourselves. We're always holding animosity towards us. Maybe we feel like our parents told us we didn't live up to the things they wanted us to be or to do. Maybe we're holding animosity towards ourselves because things didn't work out the way we thought they should. Please practice some self-forgiveness every single day of your life. Practice forgiving yourself. It should be as regular as brushing your teeth, as taking a shower, as combing your hair. Every day in every way, practicing self-acceptance by forgiving yourself. Now, I know we've all done something wrong. I've done one or two things in my life that were questionable. And then I thought they were mistakes, and I found out they weren't. And then I was wrong on that account. We've all made mistakes at some level. But the thing is, don't take it personally. Practice accepting the mistake and forgiving it and not taking it to heart. You have the right on this planet to make as many mistakes as are necessary to bring you happiness. Did you hear me? You have that right. And you sit in your skepticism and your self-hatred thinking, how can that be so? We weren't taught this as children. This isn't right. I mean, if I made a lot of mistakes, people would think very badly of me. That's their problem. You have the right to make mistakes, but you need to forgive quickly yourself for making whatever mistakes have been made. Not take it personally. The second thing that is really very important, the concern that we have about our performance. We're very performance conscious. We're always trying to prove something to people by our performance. In other words, a lot of us do a job that we don't like, but we do it very thoroughly. So other people will say of us, this person's a professional, or this person's good at their job, and what we're really after is their affection for us, their respect for us, their admiration for us. Don't you know that what other people think of you isn't going to be any part of your life, doesn't affect you in any real way? You may think it does for a time, but I guarantee you, for every person that thinks you've done a wonderful job in your life and that you're just the cat's meow, there's two over here that think you're for the dogs. You can't please them. Don't do things because they expect you to. Don't do things well because you want a good reputation. Do things well because you love what you do. You love who you are. And what you do is an extension of your love. If you do it for any other reason, it's a mockery. I know people who have lived their life for everybody but themselves. How about you? Do you live your life for what everybody else wants you to be? People say to me, oh, I've got a brother, I've got a sister, and they're out of a job, and I got to put them through school, and I got to take care of them while they're unemployed, and I hate this, and I hate that, and I got to do this. And if life is a lot of I got tos, and I got to do this, then what is life there for you? Don't feel the necessity to perform for other people. Before you do anything, do it because you love it, because it is an extension of you. And that means you may have to stop and pause, recenter yourself, relook at the whole situation. Before you give a gift, before you say, I love you to someone, before you take on a job, take on another responsibility, stop and ask yourself, why am I doing this? You will find out that a lot of your life, if you will look at it, has been spent in tremendous amounts of resistance, because we have been taught to do the things we hate in an effort to please other people, in an effort to be okay. Sad way to live our life. So when you hear these spiritual principles, you think they sound arrogant and egotistical because they're sounding like do everything for yourself. And that's true. You should be doing everything of yourself and through. Then you do everything for yourself, because everything does come back to you, does it not? Everything comes back. Another thing that we need to look at, and it's really very important. I want to read this to you because the Buddha gave this to us. The Bodhisattva was a beautiful soul. He came, he stayed with us for a while, he taught. But one of the things that I think is very interesting about his teachings is the faults. We often find fault with other people, and this is a major block in our life. How we criticize each other, how cruel we are to each other. Listen to this great teaching by Buddha. This is in the Dhammapada, and if you haven't got a copy of the Dhammapada, I might suggest you get one. Buddha says, how easy it is to see your brother's faults, how hard it is to face your own. Dwelling on your brother's faults only multiplies your own, and you are far, far from the end of your journey. Kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it? I am too far from the end of my journey to be looking at you folks and to be judging you and criticizing you. Jesus put it well. He said, why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye when you've got a log in your own? Well, very well put. Why do we waste our time on resentment? Looking at each other and going, I don't like you. Or I don't like the way you are. Or I've got to be better than you. I could do that. Stop it. We're here to love one another. You know, it's not the idea of loving another person that makes us good. It's that as we learn to love them, guess who else we learn to love? Thank you. Ourselves. Because you are a mirrored reflection of me. And the things that you do that antagonize the heck out of me are traits of my own soul that need to be refined. And you are there in my life as a mirror to say to me, Gregory, look at this. Gregory, look at that. And if Gregory goes, criticize this and criticize that, I'll miss it. So those people who have come to aggravate you are your teachers. And they're the ones that we bow to. They're the ones that we are grateful to. I want you to think about this, the blocks that we have talked about. Don't look at other people for faults. Learn within yourself the performance thing. Don't get caught up in the performance thing. Do things because you love to do what you do. And above all, be very forgiving. Be highly forgiving of yourself and those people around you. The most essential things in life are the things of compassion and love, and if you practice them, they will serve you beautifully. Thank you for being with us this morning. Welcome back to our second half of Aspire. We're working on question and answers on a very controversial subject about the essentials of our life, the things that remove the blocks. Again, I want to re-emphasize a very important point before we get involved in this, and that is our apathy, our level of caring, our level of effort towards this. If something is very important to us, we will put forth the effort, and we will do everything we can to achieve that. Our spirituality must be the same way. You must care so much about yourself that you will put forth every effort towards being aware. Okay? McKenna, we have questions. One down here.
You say that when someone doesn't like us, that it shouldn't bother us at all. But doesn't their vibrations affect you?
Only if you let them. You know, their feelings about, we pick up after a while, don't we? We can kind of walk into a room and kind of sense what's going on in the room and how people feel about us. And yes, you're always going to have people who dislike you, and you're going to feel that vibration. That's so very true. But the object is not to resist the vibration and go, it will not affect me. And the object is not to deny the vibration, because that's a lie too. You can't affirm it away and you can't deny it away. But what can you do with it? You could blend with it. You could blend with it. As it comes to you, you learn to blend with it, not the negativity, but the energy itself. And in blending, here's how you do it. You accept the other person's feelings about you without taking it personally yourself. If you don't like me, and if I feel that, I might ask myself, maybe I, in my own way, and this is very true of me because of my basic demonstrative personality, I overwhelm people sometimes. So what do? If I'm feeling that situation, I'll back off inside. And I'll let your waves of discontent roll over me. I almost find myself amused by it because it allows me to back off inside and become humble, meek again, to listen to you better. And those negative vibes that I may be feeling can turn around and be a very positive thing for me if I listen to them. Maybe they're teaching me something about me. So if I'm being overwhelming, I can back off inside and be meek. And if somebody has a grudge against me or is angry and you feel that kind of vibe, have a bagel. Forget it. You know what I mean? And throw some cream cheese on it and enjoy yourself. If they want to hold mishigas on you, let them hold it. That's their problem. There are a lot of people in life who won't like you and me. They miss out on the best part of us. And the best is yet to happen. Next question.
Okay, I had something happen to me yesterday. I'm a practical nurse, and I was taking care of a lady in the hospital. I went with her. Now, I stayed with her the whole night, and she died.
Ah.
And I went in and told the nurse that she had passed on because I was assured that she was dead. I know how to take pulse and everything. Well, they went in and they revived her. And I had a hard time dealing with this, having told them, because she had wanted to die, and she did not want to live with her disease. She had cancer.
Uh-huh.
So how do I deal with this since I do work with this type of patient?
Well, you know, first of all, I want to tell you I admire you. I admire you for your courage that you show in even asking that question. And I understand the feelings that you must have. Obviously, the lady did not sign the paper of release, did she? Yeah. The guilt that you feel, is that what you're feeling? The guilt?
I felt good with her having passed on because she had wanted this. And I went in and I told the nurse, I said, my friend has passed on. And I thought they were just going to calmly call the coroner and her sister.
And they didn't.
They just rushed in with all this
Okay.
equipment.
I want you to be aware of something. Now listen to me, this is so very important. We don't have that much control over life and death in the physical, in the form of bringing her back with all the instruments and all the gadgets that we have. If she wanted to come back, she's back because she wants to be there. If she wanted to leave, nothing could bring her back.
Well, they found a weak pulse and they brought her back and she lived 12 hours in intensive care.
And then passed away?
Yes.
Okay. Who knows what was going on in those 12 hours? Who knows what interesting insights? Her whole life could have been healed, reviewed, looked at, understood in those 12 hours. And maybe only in that way could it have happened. And all you did was facilitate the whole situation a little bit. You played a role in her life. You did not betray her. And the way to look at it is, you did not betray her. You played a role in her life. You facilitated her growth. And God only knows, and she only knows, what she learned in that 12-hour period.
Would she still
Learning in a coma. You can be, in a coma means nothing. They're there, they're hovering, they're everywhere. Who knows what reconciliation, what healing could have been going on in that situation. Ours is to bow to it. I firmly have seen this in my life. I've been a minister for 15 years, and I've seen people die in my arms, die in front of me, die all around me. They go when they're ready to leave. That's it. And nothing can keep them, and nothing can make them go away until they're ready, one way or the other. Ours is just to sit and watch the whole phenomenon, and possibly to learn from it, which obviously this has touched you deeply, hasn't it? You'll never be the same again, will you? So guess who got a gift? Yes. You shared each other's life. And you know what? You shared each other's life at the most intimate and profound moment, at the moment of death.
Well, all night long she had a hold of my hand, and she had a trig, so she couldn't speak, but she had a little board she wrote on, and she said one time, Jesus is coming for me. So then she kind of went off to a little sleep, and then she came back later and she said, she wrote on the board again, he didn't come, and a question mark.
She knows what's going on.
Yeah, she knew what was going on.
What a beautiful experience you had. Well, God bless you. Pretty sharp person.
I was afraid of, this lady will come back, she'll be in worse condition than she was before, and she will blame me for,
No.
No,
let the practical side go. What she really wanted to do was a little more communication with whatever was going on, obviously, a little more reconciliation, maybe with herself, a little more observation.
I felt she had died, and actually, really, she had wanted to go because she was in the fertile position. They just revived her.
Yeah. Well, like I say, you can't keep a person when they want to go. I've been there. I've seen them pounding on the chest and shooting them with stuff.
Had I known that they were going to do this, I would have really stayed with her a little while longer and not have even told a nurse.
Yeah.
But then again, I still wouldn't have known what time was the actual release. So.
Let go of your guilt.
Okay, thank you.
It's useless, unnecessary. Yes, one way back there. We're going to give McKenna track shoes.
Hi, I enjoyed your talk.
Thank you.
What's helped me in dealing with people, maybe that appear negative, is what I do is say a short prayer. You know, I've learned through Unity that Jesus went alone to pray and get a perspective with God. Well, for me, I get that contact with what I call a supreme being, and I can see that other person as one of God's kids, or I get a better insight to take away all that's in front of them and around them and see them as a soul rather than, you know, that human being with all those negative vibes. And I'm able to break through that and maybe not like that person, but love that person for who they are rather than what they do. And that really helps me. The Unity has taught me to do that, to be able to break down that facade and get through to the soul rather than, you know, the person.
If Jesus were here, he would say to you, you are very close to the kingdom. Because that kind of compassion leads to great understanding, and in great understanding comes love, and you will never ever again be able to act out of ignorance again, because what you are doing is seeing the other side of the coin. So you're very close, and that kind of compassion we need, and I'm grateful you shared that with us, and we could all learn something from what you've just said. The ability to see the other side, that we're all doing just the very best that we can do, aren't we? That kind of compassion is important. Please remember something inside of yourselves, that if you cannot have compassion for those around you, you'll never make the spiritual progression within you. Thank you for being with us. We want to thank you. If there's one major thing that you learned in this program, I hope it's that forgiveness is a necessity, not for other people, but for all of us and ourselves. In my work, in my teaching, in my counseling, I find that the most difficult thing that people have to face is not the problems or the past or the situations that they think they're confronted with, but to let go of those things, to practice forgiving and letting go. Please remember, when you forgive another person, you're not doing them a favor. You're not doing anything for them. You're doing everything, though, for yourself. Because as Buddha said, you and I, we're far from our end of our life. We're far from the end of the journey of living. We need forgiveness. Forgiveness puts us in balance with life. Everybody in this world is going to make mistakes. People are going to do things that are thoughtless and unkind. That is something that you're going to have to expect. As Jesus said, there will always be wars and rumors of wars in this world. But let not the sin come through you. Always be forgiving. And when we are practicing that concept of forgiveness in our life, some dramatic changes can come forth. Have you ever thought of the idea that maybe the breakthrough in your life that you're looking for, in the form of healing, in the form of maybe prosperity, in the form of spiritual insight, just might be hinging on the idea of forgiving yourself? The greatest love, as the song goes, that we will ever know is the love of loving ourselves. We can't do that if we're holding on to anger and resentment and fear within us. This week, I'd like you to devote one solid week to forgiving yourself. Find one aspect of you that you feel needs to be understood, released, and let go of. Maybe it's your relationship with others, your relationship with yourself, something in your past. Please remember, it is the Father's good pleasure to forgive you. So forgive yourself. Practice and work on it, and then write me. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if I can help you further with the concept of forgiveness. It is truly one of the most essential of all spiritual principles. I've so enjoyed having the opportunity of bringing to you this program, Aspire. We hope you'll tell a friend and come back and be with us next week. God bless.
Every day we take a step, we understand. The closer that we get, we'll find in who we are.
Dr. Penn's wardrobe is provided by the Gentleman's Quarter, located in Del Mar and La Jolla, California.
The left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness.